What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video we're going to use a very fun double fighter team utilizing Chesnaught and Sirfetch'd. Sirfetch'd is going to be our safe swap with Night Slash and Leaf Blade. We're also going to have Noctowl on the lead. Now what I found with this team is it's actually pretty strong against this meta, even against Alolan Ninetales, which you guys are probably thinking right now, Alolan Ninetales can beat every single Pokemon on this team, and that is right, but it cannot beat all three by itself. So you have to leverage your team play in order to take it down. We do face off against a lot of Alolan Ninetales in today's video, so be sure to check that out. But Chesnaught sweeping is beautiful if you can draw out the hardest counters to fighters with the Sirfetch'd, and we also have good coverage moves with Night Slash and Leaf Blade. Alright, getting into the first battle, we have Noctowl on the lead versus Shadow Alolan Ninetales. If this is Powder Snow, I'm swapping out, which it is. So we have to see that first fast move because Charm we stay in with Noctowl, Powder Snow we come in with Sirfetch'd, and this is why. Sirfetch'd does neutral damage here to Shadow Alolan Ninetales. Look at the counter damage that we are doing. Charm, on the other hand, completely shreds Sirfetch'd, so we don't want to swap into that. But we're going to go ahead and shield as the Weather Ball would basically KO us, and we're going to be able to get to another Leaf Blade right here. Now what I want you guys to notice is they're not swapping out. This means that this is likely the hardest counter on their team to a fighting type Pokemon. So we're going to go ahead and look to leverage that with our Chesnaught in the back, giving it a shield, and we're going to come in with Noctowl and hard farm down. We will be tanking a Weather Ball. Unfortunately, this is going to do a lot of damage. But again, if this is their hardest counter to fighters, we want to have Chesnaught to have a shield in order to win this game. So we can fully farm down right here. Let's see what they decide to bring in. It's going to be Bastiodon, and sure enough, in the back is going to be Bastiodon and a Medicham, and this is why we gave our Chesnaught a shield. Now, we are running with Vine Whip as the fast move for high energy gain because the Frenzy Plant there just does so much neutral damage across the meta, especially against a Pokemon like Medicham, and since we do have shield advantage, we can safely shield this charge move and get to another Frenzy Plant in time, and then it's going to be a race against Bastiodon to get to 2 superpowers. But remember, we still have Noctowl with a Shadow Ball locked and loaded, and this is what's beautiful about Chesnaught, is just the raw damage from superpower that we are about to see. Now I'm also very concerned this Bastiodon is getting close to the charge move, so I want to try to catch it on Noctowl on a CMP tie, so I'm going to go ahead and throw, but they instead, I don't think they had it maybe right there on that one. But it doesn't matter because we have a Shadow Ball to KO Bastiodon, and we still had Superpower on our Chesnaught on the back end, so good game. Alright, moving to the next one, we got Noctowl versus Bastiodon. So this is a very tough one. We're going to go ahead and swap into that Sirfetch'd to get ahead on energy, and in comes a Shadow Gardevoir. Oh man, I have a feeling this team might shred me apart. It's either going to be double Charm in the back, or it's going to be the Shadow Charm here and a Shadow Razor Leaf. That's what it's going to be. I don't see them having anything else. And they also no-shielded that, which is very unfortunate for my Chesnaught because in order to win this game, I need shield advantage, which I'm not going to get, especially since Noctowl now is locked in here against Bastiodon, which means I'm going to be swapping into my Chesnaught and being forced to shield a Flamethrower, which is going to be very devastating because Bastiodon here can just fully farm us down if I don't swap out in time. So I'm going to go ahead and go for one more Shadow Ball and then look to swap out and hope that we can counter whatever they have in the back. Maybe it's like a Swampert or something, but they're going to go ahead and throw that charge move. I'm forced to shield here. I really wish we got a shield with that Leaf Blade, but the opponent made a good call on no shielding the Gardevoir, and it is, in fact, a Shadow Victory Bell on the back. So this is a very hard team to overcome. I mean, granted, if you don't have exact alignment against a Bastiodon double hard fast move in the back, whether that's Razor Leaf or Charm, you're really not going to be winning anyways because that team is built to just roll the dice and try to steam through teams who can't really hard cover it. So this is going to be a good game either way. I'm not really going to be able to come back from this. I'm going to try my best with Noctowl, maybe with a bit of energy as I do get to a superpower here, hoping to KO the Victory Bell. And if they decide to no shield it, which they don't. They do decide to shield. Now this gives Noctowl some time to farm down for some energy, but ultimately Bastiodon isn't low enough, I don't think, and I'm one fast move away from the Shadow Ball, but that wouldn't have been able to KO. So that's a good game right there. Tough one, but this team isn't perfect. No team is, but I just want to showcase how this team gets deleted sometimes. All right, Altaria on the lead. Very good lead considering our backline. Again, the whole play with this team is to draw out the hardest counter to our fighters in the back, and if that hardest counter is already on the field, in this case it is going to be the Altaria, we want to stay in with Noctowl and do as much neutral damage as we can. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to be no shielding right here, Sky Attack. We want to save shields for our back end. We want to give them a false sense of security, right? Because if we shield a Sky Attack, that triggers to them to be aware that Altaria is a good counter to our backline, so they may start shielding. And in this case, this is perfect. Surfetch can easily come in and counter it down, and energy on Surfetch can be very deadly against an opponent's team. So we're going to go ahead and come in, counter down. So we got 3 counters right there, and let's see what they have in the back. It's going to be a Trevenant. Perfect. This is exactly what Surfetch is built for with Night Slash. Now, we are building up to the potential Brave Bird as well, which they always need to fear. But Night Slash here is going to be doing super effective damage anyways, and we're going to have to be shielding these Seed Bombs now. But thankfully, we have 3 counters energy up on the Trevenant here, so we should be able to get to 3 Night Slashes in time in order to take it out. And we'll have to see how they decide to play this as they decide to no-shield it. So, interesting call by them, but they're going to go ahead and swap out into a Galarian Stunfisk, so we're going to go ahead and go for the Leaf Blade. And this is why I said trusting in our Noctowl to get rid of that hardest counter, that Altaria, because likely the backline is weak to our combination of Surfetched and Chesnaught. I wanted to say Trevenant, but Trevenant can be handled with Frenzy Plant. It does a good amount of resisted damage, and then with Night Slash, as you guys saw right there, we would have been able to get to 3 against it. So we're going to go ahead and soak all these charge moves here. We're going to go for the Frenzy Plant as we don't want to debuff ourselves against the Trevenant, which is likely going to be coming back in. We're also going to undercharge so we can fast move down to get some extra energy, because in order to win this game, we have to go for double superpower. And Trevenant is low enough where a heavily resisted charge move like superpower into that ghost typing is going to be enough to KO. Now we're going to go ahead and go for the first one. They're obviously going to be shielding, but we should be 1 fast move away now from the next one, and that is going to be a good game, very well played. So get the Altaria out of the game early, and you're probably going to be having a good time on the back end with this setup, and that is going to be a good game, as I believe they closed their phone right there. It's a good game. All right. Moving into the next one, we have Noctowl on the lead versus Stunfisk. So this is a tough matchup for us. We're going to swap out right away into Surfetch and get ahead on energy, and in comes a Cofagrigus. So once again, another Pokemon that does well against fighting types because of its ghost typing. But again, another Pokemon that we can do neutral or super effective damage to. In this case, it's going to be super effective with Night Slash. So we're going to go ahead and shield. I'm thinking this is probably just going to be the Shadow Ball, but they instead decide to go for Dark Pulse, which was interesting because we could have gotten away with a no shield there. But ultimately, we want to spam these Night Slashes here and get shields from our opponent, because we should be able to get to another one. No, we cannot. Now, this is a tough situation. If I shield, I don't make it to 2 more Night Slashes, so I have to let this go, and I need to come in with Noctowl and fully farm down. We'll have to see what they have on the back end, but what my hope is that energy with Noctowl should be enough to take this for us, because this is a really good farm down. Now, granted, we are going to be tanking a Dark Pulse, but this is a lot of energy that we're getting, and we can do neutral damage here to the Galarian Stunfisk. So we're going to go ahead and throw it. And then we're going to be swapping out right away into Chesnaught. Now, ideally, if I could, I'd want to try to catch the charge move. But they have a Frostlass in the back as well. So this is actually a pretty tough situation for me, because Frostlass also does very well against the team. But thankfully, we have good charge moves in order to handle it with Shadow Ball, Night Slash, Frenzy Plant. All these moves do great damage against it. But it's going to be a race now, and this is why energy comes into play. They decide to no shield. So I'm going to go ahead and go for the superpower just to try to force that final shield from them, because it's going to be up to Noctowl in order to win this game, as we could potentially survive the rock slides there. I mean, granted, I think 2 is going to be enough to take us out, as they do get to the final avalanche, unfortunately, right there. So now Noctowl is going to come in. Maybe if I didn't go for superpower and I went for the hard farm down, maybe we would have gotten it, but I think they would have gotten to the charge move anyways. But this is looking to be a good game, as Galarian Stunfisk has a good amount of energy. So Shadow Ball, not enough to KO. And then we are going to be racing to that Sky Attack. Hopefully we can get it, but I think Galarian Stunfisk basically has 2 Rock Slides right here. So that, yeah, that's looking to be a good game. So still a very close one, considering we were triple hard countered. Think about that. Galarian Stunfisk into Noctowl, Cofagrigus into Sirfetch'd, and Frostlass into Chesnaught, and we brought it down to like 3 fast moves right there from a win. I say that's pretty good for being triple hard countered. All right, Pidgeot on the lead. So this is, again, just like the Altaria matchup, you want to be staying in this, and you want to get this Pidgeot out of the game, because this is likely the hardest counter on the team. Now, there can always be a Medicham lurking back there, but like we've seen before, and they decide to go for the Brave Bird as well, which is huge. Noctowl can survive that, so you guys can safely no-shield that first one. Don't go for the Feather Dance bait. Just go for the Sky Attack. We get a shield, and now they're going to be forced to swap out, and they swap into Galarian Stunfisk, so we're going to go ahead and come in with Sirfetch'd right here and load up on energy. Now, I need to watch out for Earthquake, so I'm going to go ahead and give up a shield, and I won't be able to fully farm down. I'm going to have to throw a charge move, but I want to come out of here with a lot of energy. At least the ability to potentially get 2 Night Slashes off against the Pidgeot, because it is a normal flying, which means we're going to do quite a bit of neutral damage. So we do take out the Galarian Stunfisk, in comes the Pidgeot, and this is where a Sirfetch'd can really potentially shine, is these kind of neutral matchups, and then energy boost, or attack boost right there with Night Slash. So this is huge. Now this is going to be getting us the final shield from the opponent, otherwise Pidgeot is going down, and they have to throw energy as well. We're going to counter this thing down, and again, we're saving our shield for Chesnaught, because I'm guessing Pidgeot is the hardest counter left in this game. So we're going to come in with Chesnaught to farm down, and Medicham is in the back. So like we said before, there will be Medichams back there, but if you have a 1-0 shield advantage like we've seen with Chesnaught versus Bastiodon and Medicham, or in this case against Medicham. Now they decide to surrender as we swap into Noctowl to try to go for the Sky Attack, but that is going to be a good game. All right, moving into the next one. We have Noctowl versus Swampert. Okay, so this is one of those games where I know there's probably going to be a flyer in the back, so I swap into Sirfetch'd to try to bait it out. But they're not swapping out right away. Instead, they want to go for the charge move, so I'm going to go ahead and look to shield here. As Sirfetch'd, we want to utilize this energy, and they bring in Alolan Ninetales. So this is kind of like a really bad situation when Alolan Ninetales has a shield advantage and going to be able to take out Sirfetch'd. So what we need to do here is pray that Sirfetch'd can hang on with 1 HP in a dream, and the prayer was heard as we can survive right there and go for another Leaf Blade. This at least gets us even shields, which it does, and now Noctowl can come in and really load up on energy, because the Shadow Swampert in the back is going to be very fearful of a double Sky Attack Noctowl. Now thankfully this Alolan Ninetales is not Shadow, so these Weather Balls are not going to be hitting as hard, but they still hurt. Now, I got very scared right there. I was going to commit to the farm down, but I'm like, I just need to throw this Sky Attack and get this Ninetales out of there. And now I'm going to swap out right away into Chesnaught, because I'm hoping Alolan Ninetales was the only counter to a Grass-type Pokemon, and sure enough it was. They had a Galarian Stunfisk, and then they blind swapped into Swampert here. Now I will shield Hydro Cannon. Remember, Rock Slide and Earthquake are heavily resisted, and a Shadow Swampert Hydro Cannon is going to be the hardest hitting move left in the game. So what we're going to do here is we're not going to debuff ourselves with Superpower. Instead, we're going to go for that neutral damage with Frenzy Plant, and once we force that shield from them, then we can KO with the Superpower. The last thing you want to do is be going for multiple Superpowers, constantly debuff yourself, and then get KO'd by an Earthquake that should have no reason to be KOing you. And as you guys are going to see, because of our typing here, Rock Slide, it does nothing. This is beautiful. Chesnaught coming in clutch, and that was a game where we had a Alolan Ninetales in a very tough position for us, but we're able to overcome with the team synergies and energy management. It is beautiful and a very fun team to run. All right, moving into the next one. We have Noctowl on the lead versus Altaria once again. Okay, so like the previous matchup, we're going to look to stay in. We're going to look to no shield. We're going to look to leverage that neutral damage with Noctowl with the Sky Attack, and then we want to come in and load up on energy with the Sirfetch'd. But the tough thing about this game, if it's the game I'm thinking of, is what happens when they decide to shield. That is the tough situation that we're going to be facing off against as we let the Sky Attack go through. But actually, this isn't the game. Okay, maybe it was another one. But they instead decide to swap in Scrafty. Now, this automatically tells me, and probably what you're reading as well as you're watching this, there's going to be something else weak in the back to a fighting type Pokemon, which means Chesnaught is going to do extremely well. So we need to maintain switch advantage if we can. So we're going to go ahead and go for that Leaf Blade, and we take out the Scrafty. Now, we do have a good amount of energy here when we might be able to get to a Night Slash versus Altaria, which we do, which is now a very, very good situation for us, because this could force a shield. It doesn't, but it has that added neutral pressure that we need. Now we're going to go ahead and go for the Sky Attack right away, trying to force a shield from Altaria or just get it out of there. We want to maintain switch advantage, and they just let it go. Final Pokemon is in fact weak to fighting type Pokemon. It's going to be Registeel. So with Chesnaught right here, because we have Noctowl and because we have 2 shields, we can safely go for Superpower first. Boom. The only damage that this Registeel can do to us is with charge moves. And we can clear debuffs from ourselves, which is that superpower debuff, by swapping back into Noctowl. So what we do here is we go for that superpower first, and now we're just going to be going for Frenzy Plants to try to take it out, but they decide to no-shield it. This is a good game either way. The Registeel just does not have enough damage in order to take us out, and I think they left. They left the game there. So that's going to be a good one, but a hard checkmate. They safe swapped a Scrafty. Obviously, we're reading something else weak in the back to fighting. We had a good alignment right there. So good game. There's really nothing they can do. All right, Noctowl, mirror match right here. Again, we need to play it very similar to the Altaria matchup where we need to stay in, we need to get this thing low, and we want to come in and load up on energy with Surfetch. So we're just going to be looking to go for Sky Attacks. Now, my Noctowl is somewhat decent IVs. I don't know if I'm going to be winning CMP tie, but I want to try to time this next charge move to see if I can win, and in fact, I did right there. Now, if we have the exact same IVs, then it's a coin toss, but ultimately it looks like I can win CMP tie, which means they're looking to shield right there. They might be weak in the back to my Noctowl, so I'm going to go ahead and let this go, and now I'm going to swap into Surfetch and start getting ahead on energy. If they're weak in the back to Noctowl, it's probably going to be a Trevenant back there, and if I can get a Night Slash, which I already do, I can safely shield this charge move, and it's actually going to be a Sableye back there. So now I'm kind of concerned, right, that it might be Trevenant and Sableye back there, which would be very, very troublesome for me. But ultimately, we have back-to-back Leaf Blades, and this is why Surfetch can be so deadly in some of these neutral matchups, which I would regard Sableye as a neutral matchup, because the foul plays and Shadow Claws and whatnot, and the counters and Leaf Blades that we're doing. And sure enough, there's actually something worse. It's going to be a Medicham in the back. So thankfully, we can get to a Leaf Blade right here, and we got to remember, okay, Chesnaught has a shield. This is going to be even shields, and now we have shield advantage. So we're going to come in with Chesnaught. They have the Noctowl still in the back. We're going to go ahead and give our no shield this first charge move because it wasn't enough for Psychic. If it was just Ice Punch, we can survive, which we did. And we go straight for the Frenzy Plant. I don't think their switch clock is up just yet, but if they do swap in, we got to go into our Noctowl pretty quickly. And I actually decide to swap in a Noctowl to try to catch the next Ice Punch, but maybe I miscounted. So now I'm forced to shield here, and I think we can actually take this one. His superpower should be enough to KO the Noctowl as we farm down, and then we are one fast move away, and yeah, that's going to be a good game, very well played. So kind of dicey right there, but ultimately we were able to take it, and Chesnaught 1-0 shields does very well in this meta. All right, moving to the next one. We have Noctowl on the lead versus Shadow Alolan Ninetales. Now, this one is Charm. This is the tough one to beat because Charm just does so much damage. And you guys are going to see it's going to shred through, especially since they're shielding as well. It is going to shred through my Noctowl. Now, my timings right here aren't the greatest, and I'm sure some of you have been saying in the YouTube comments, my timings on fast moves aren't the greatest, or throwing charge moves, I should say, aren't the greatest because they sneak through another one right there. I don't know if I would be able to get to 3 Sky Attacks in this matchup, but we do get 2 shields. So this is tough. I have to come in with Surfetched, and I have to get this Leaf Blade off. And now, unfortunately, I don't. So now we are fully relying on Chesnaught, and we're going to get charmed to about 50%, 75% HP. They have a Medicham in the back, so my guess now is it's going to be a Bastiodon as well. So hopefully Chesnaught can do it right here. We will have to see, as we are now going to be forced to shield this charge move, as Ice Punch is going to be enough to KO from this range. But it was just a power-up punch, and now I'm overloading on energy, and they do swap into Bastiodon. So now I really have to overload on energy. Maybe I could have gotten away with actually a couple more Vine Whips right there without throwing the superpower, because now I'm in a very dangerous position where I need double superpower in order to potentially win this game. Oh man, I'm thinking right here, maybe I should have thrown the Frenzy Plant. Oh my goodness, please. I was one fast move away right there. I do get the superpower off, but because I'm debuffed and Medicham resistant, we actually don't do enough damage to KO. So that was a slight misplay on my end. But my goodness, that started with a Shadow Charm along the Ninetales, and we almost won. I misplayed that. So that was actually a winnable game. All right, good game. So we got Swampert on the lead, swap in to Sirfetch'd, and we bring out a Noctowl. Again, very good swap in for us because it frees up Chesnaught in the back, which is obviously a harder counter to the Swampert than the Sirfetch'd is. And we also get off 2 Night Slashes here, and this is what's cool about Sirfetch'd is if you can fake that Brave Bird, you're going to put the fear into them, you're going to get yourself shield advantage, you're going to chunk their health, and you're also going to waste their energy. So this is like a triple threat when it comes to a good safe swap in this meta. Now, obviously, it doesn't do as well against Pokemon like Altaria because they're resisting counter. But in this case, counter does very well against Noctowl. So now what we need to do is load up on some energy. And I'm hoping that I can actually get to 2. But I think I might have to throw. This is going to be extremely close as now... Yeah, I don't know if I can get the full farm down. I'm going to have to throw the Sky Attack here, but at least I have another one loaded for the Swampert when it does come back in. So we have 2-to-1 shields, but they instead decide to bring in Medicham, and you guys can already tell Chesnaught is going to be sweeping because we took out the hardest counter, and we get a shield. Chesnaught is loving this game. 2 shields to none. They have a Swampert in the back. We have Vine Whip, we have Frenzy Plant. Now, they did throw a power-up punch right there, which is unfortunate for me, but I'm going to go ahead and just load up on energy, go for this Frenzy Plant. If that Swampert comes in, we're booming it as well. There is no holding back. We're unleashing the Chesnaught on this meta as they do swap in the Swampert, and we're going to go ahead and throw it. And this is so satisfying. When you have a 2-0 and you take the Noctowl out of the game, boom! Down goes the Swampert, in comes that Medicham, but ultimately it will not matter because we should be able to get to the superpower in time. We still have Noctowl as well, and this time, I know last game it wasn't enough to KO, but that's because we were double debuffed. This time, we're not debuffed at all, so it is enough damage to take it out, and that is going to be a good battle, very well played. This team was so much fun to use and so satisfying, and it worked out very well. And as you guys saw, it performed well against Alolan Ninetales. There was a situation where we faced off against the Charm, and I lost, but ultimately I think I could have played that better now watching it back. So there are win cons that you can totally do that. Powder Snow, Alolan Ninetales, you got to go into Sirfetch'd, and Charm Alolan Ninetales, you got to stay in with Noctowl, and then come in with Sirfetch'd. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hope you guys give this team a try. It's a lot of fun, and honestly, Double Fighter, super fun to have in this meta. So like always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.